Hey there, it's Boots Owen here. This is a Bosch WAE24366 Vario Perfect WAE24366 GB/25. It's a washing machine, obviously. It was given to me by a guy across the road. He met me on the street and he said, my washing machine's broken, and I searched for it on the internet and a video of yours came up and I didn't know it was you, and then eventually I recognised you, and then I realised you live across the road, and so here I am, and my machine's broken. And so we had a bit of a chat about it, and he thought it was blowing the trip switch on his house, which normally is an element issue or a motor issue, but he says no, the motor's fine, could be the element. So he said, well, I'll take a look at it, and I had a look at it, and let's have a look in here. I filled it with rags, so I'm going to do a test wash. But in there, I don't know if we can see it now. Yeah, you can just about see it on the white there. There's a load of rubber crumbs. There's just some of them there on my finger. There's little rubber crumbs, which to me is a sign that the machine is not spinning concentrically, or the drum is not spinning concentrically. And if the drum is not spinning concentrically, it's probably a spider. Now, why it tripped his switch is a different issue altogether. I don't know what happened there, but let's give it a go. I've got some soap in the drawer, a little bit, and I've got a pod here just because I've got loads of them that I found. Pods in, a load of rags in. Let's close the door. 60. 2.5 hours. Jesus, that's a long time. Right, I'm not going to video the whole thing. Let's go for it and see what happens. He reckoned it was an okay machine, but he also reckoned he didn't pay for it, so he just gave it to me. I've already checked the filter just to make a filter video on it, and that worked fine. You can hear the water coming in. Coming in on the number 1 side at the moment. It's a cold only fill, this machine, which I don't really like, but that's what Bosch make nowadays. This is very similar to the German machine that I had down in the cellar a while ago. Like I say, a while ago, it could be three or 4 years ago now. It seems to have a similar set of buttons, but I haven't looked back on that one and I don't remember what it was. It's a relatively cheap machine, I would say. You know, it's not a high-end machine. It's got a digital display for its time, but that doesn't mean very much. Okay, it's turning. Water's in and it's turning. Hasn't tripped the switch. The motor's probably okay. We'll give it a few minutes. I've put a carpet in there, like a rug. I've put in, what else? A pair of jeans, some pillowcases and stuff like that. All workshop rags, you know, they're not things I'm going to use again. But I would like it to get through a cycle so that we can see if it works. It's taking in water again on the number 2 side. That pod has gotten stuck down there, which is useless. Really useless. I think that's a bold pod. Rumour has it that those pods are delicious if you're hungry. I'm not sure I'd do that. There's that carpet spinning around. Now, that carpet's the one I used for testing vacuum cleaners a few times, and it's particularly brown. The pod's just after bursting and dribbling. Yeah, so that carpet's particularly brown, so the water that comes out of it should be filthy. So it's gone down a minute. I've got my washing machine bowl set up in the sink so we can catch any sediment or bits that come out, but I think the machine itself is pretty clean. The only thing that could come out is some spider corrosion, but I didn't see any when I cleaned the filter. There was just a tiny little bit of kind of soap scum in there. So I'm not expecting there to be corrosion, but I am expecting the spider is either buckled or broken. Normally they just snap and then they wiggle in and out. So it's more the spin cycle I'm interested in on this one. It's set for 1200 spin, which should see the most abuse, most damage. It has its feet set on level ground. I've leveled up the feet, so it shouldn't walk by itself and everything should be okay. So I'll leave it to agitate for a while. I'll come back to it when it heats up, and I'll come back to it if anything happens. So stay tuned. So we're about 10 minutes in and everything's gone black. I'd say it's an element issue. It's still cold in there. I would have thought the heater would have come on a bit sooner, but maybe it agitates a bit in the cold first. So that's a bit of a pain, because my laundry's still dirty. Let's turn the power back on and see what happens. I'll turn this off first. No, I won't. I'll leave it as it is. Let's see if I can turn it on here. It's gone off throughout the house, so let's get it back on. So the lights are back on. It was an RCD fault. It tripped 2 RCDs because I've got the shed on a second RCD after the house, which is not really what you're meant to do, but I think it adds another layer. Those are old Bosch elements, and what happens in them is somewhere inside the stainless steel there's a little wire element, this piece here, and that breaks, and it links to the outside, or maybe the spark jumps to the outside, and that is earthed through here, so the power goes to earth, and that's your residual current, and that trips the switch. That could be what's wrong, or it could be a motor fault. I don't think it's anything other than those two. So to isolate the motor fault, I'm going to put it onto a rinse spin cycle, which shouldn't have any heat from the element, and should also drain the water out of it, which is now in my way. But I would rather have it on a cold wash, even though 30's too hot, you see. Oh, I can put it on a cold. Let's see if that works. Cold. Power on. Ooh. Cold is 40, wool cold. See, that what I want is that'll agitate it a bit and let some water, you know, rinse off all that soap that I've put in, because I've put in quite a bit of soap. So let's press play and see if that does it. Hopefully the lights will stay on. It's gone on to wash, hand wash, or wash. Anything? Anything? I'm not hearing motor. Oh, we are. There it is. A minute delay there for some reason. So water's coming in. It's already full. Water's coming in on the number 2 side, and it's already full. No water came out of the last cycle. There's a bit of pod still stuck in my door down there. 40-minute wash. The water is really filthy. Hopefully this will work, and that means it's the element, and at that point, well, we'll get to see an 800 spin as well. I don't know if you can see it. You should be able to. There's water just rising up down here, and it's pretty black. Yeah, there it is. It's got soap on it at the moment, bubbles, but there it is filling up to the door. So yeah, you'll be able to see it. It's pretty brown water. Hopefully when it goes to the spin cycle, it's only on an 800 spin this time, we'll see if it has a bad drum as well. Okay, I'll come back to it when anything happens. Okay, so you can tell it's dark again. It happened again on the cold cycle, tripped the switch inside and out here in the garage. Unless cold heats it to 20 or something, because the water out here is going to be about 5 degrees at the moment. Water coming through the pipe, so unless cold needs a little bit of heat, it could be the motor. Last way to find out, I guess, is rinse and spin. The water in that door is black, you can't see it. Let's get the lights back on. Okay, lights back on. Maybe you can see that water is filthy. So let's put it on to rinse and spin. It could be motor brushes. 21-minute cycle. Fast spin, Aqua Plus. It's going to take on more water probably now. It still hasn't done a drain out. What's that noise? That's the pump, so it's pumping out that water. Okay. You can see how dirty that is. That's just from my rags. Pretty black. There's a lot of water in it as well. So we know the pump's working. And that's pretty rich soapy water, which, you know, is a bit of a waste of soap really this time. Nearly there. Nearly there. Oh. 3 and 4. I often wonder if you were living in a house with older electrics, which still exist in you know, lots of houses in England, there will be no residual current device and there's no miniature circuit breakers, there's just old wire fuses. Not in many houses, but in some houses in the UK you still have that. It's pumping or taking on water, it's doing something there. Sounds like it's pumping a dry pump. So it should take on more water. Yeah, so some houses in the UK still have no residual current device, they just have wire fuses, and in a situation like this the wire fuse will eventually burn. No, it might not actually, I don't know what I'm talking about. It needs to draw too much current for the fuse to burn, so I don't know what would happen in this scenario. Would the thing keep burning inside or what? Don't know. That, oh, that's the back of the white you can see flapping around in there, that's the back of the mat. So it's probably still dirty. 20 minutes on the clock. There should be no element on this one. It could trip the motor again, like if its carbon brush is worn down, which is a possibility because that's what I've fixed more of in Bosch machines than anything else. The carbon brushes. Well then I can have a look at that and we can try and fix it. It's not a big job. And hopefully I could do it without taking the motor out. It's taking on lots of water. It's going to do a rinse. We'll come back to it again when it blows the fuse. Or when it finishes the cycle. Element or fuse, one or the other. Okay, so now 4 or 5 minutes in, there's lots of water in it. It's on its rinse spin, it hasn't blown the fuse. 5 minutes, 6 minutes, what was the start? 21 minutes, something like that. So it's about 6 minutes in. I'm optimistic we're going to see the end of this. I'm just making some other noises here, ignore me. The water's pretty black in there. So 13 minutes. What am I trying to do here? Well, I'm trying to isolate the element as the problem. It doesn't seem to be the brushes in the motor. It doesn't seem to be the motor. It seems to be the element. I wasn't expecting for there to be a heating phase on a cold wash, but there you go. There is also something a bit disturbing here, and you can't see it, but if I point down here, there's a lot of water here, and it continues to drip from the door. You just saw there's just a drip there now. It started its drain phase. The white crumbs in there are from the back of that mat. Those white crumbs, I don't think they're from the spider. Sounds like it's going to go on to a spin. Down to 10 minutes. It hasn't really got up to a spin, but it also hasn't tripped the fuse, so still pointing towards the element. But if you hear that clicking, that's the broken spider. It's pretty loud. It's nowhere near full speed yet. Yeah, so that's pretty loud. I wonder is it going to take on more water, or is that it finished? It doesn't, don't think it's going to take on more water. But my rags certainly aren't clean, which is not where I want it to be. That carpet looks a bit cleaner. I could put it on for another rinse and just do a full cycle rinse video. Hopefully we get up to speed now. Wow, what a horror show. It's not worth fixing this one way or the other. I thought I might put an element in it earlier on, but not a hope. Not a hope. That's just insane. The noise out of that's unreal. Like, I was wearing the earmuffs and I was still deafened. 2 minutes to go. It's just gonna click down until the door opens. What would you do with this, hey? Oh man. It's hard to know because in my experience, Bosch machines don't smash well. So, what am I meant to do with it? I'll do another rinse and spin just to rinse these clothes through, I think. 1 minute to go. Man, that was really loud. Could you fix it? You'd need a whole new drum spider assembly, and that's even if you can. I think with these Bosch ones, you can clip them, unclip the front plastic from the back plastic tub. I've done that before to take one apart or something. I can't remember. I remember doing it in the kitchen inside one day. There we go, 0. It sounds like the door's open. Yeah, okay. It's full of sludge inside the door there. The clothes are still all gritty, so it needs another rinse. That'll be in a separate video. Questions or comments, leave them below on how you might smash this machine, or should you just keep doing laundry until it pops? Because, you know, if I keep putting heavy loads in it, eventually that spider should die, but like it could take an awful long time. So just so you can see what we're talking about here, watch the gap between the plastic and the steel as I rotate it. It's not that bad, is it? Feels pretty solid. There we go. So I presume in the back there's a 3-legged spider, and the one pointing downwards from the center at the moment is broken. So it's solid here, on the basis that it has 3 paddles roughly corresponding to the location of the spider legs. That one's pretty dead. It's a funky smell in here of probably burning or melting rubber from the door seal. Yuck. Okay, questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching. See you later.